We interrupt this program to bring you...
You said you believed in Santa, right?
I did? I do.
What about the reindeer? These are Santa's reindeer, aren't they?
I hope not. These are, a gift. Probably from the cable company. We're getting the Disney Channel now. Merry Christmas.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin.
And I'm John.
I'm Adam.
And we are the Real Movie Guys. It's December, so you know what that means. Real Christmas. Real Christmas is a special event where we review all your favorite holiday movies, and this season, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking on the Santa Claus series, starting with the first film in the franchise, The Santa Claus. When a man inadvertently makes Santa fall off his roof on Christmas Eve, he finds himself magically recruited to take his place. Wow, guys, it's December already. That came pretty quick. I feel like we just did our Halloween series, and if you're watching our videos, then clearly that's what happened. Yeah, I was really excited. We always try to figure out like what we're going to review this year. I think it was actually Adam's idea this year to really talk about the Santa Claus series, and I want to start with you, Adam. What are your thoughts on this film? You know, this is a pretty peak entry as far as Christmas films, I think, for Disney.
I enjoy these films. I mean, even to a certain extent, yeah, obviously, I think that they do kind of go downhill a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that.
But yeah, I'm sure. But for the most part, I mean, these are staple Christmas movies.
Yeah. What do you think, John? How about you?
Yeah, I totally agree with Adam. I feel like, especially after watching this one and then going to like the next one after it, you can see like the slow decline, but like it's not as big.
Right.
But this one's like a really good movie.
Yeah, this one is surprisingly a really good film, and I think that it has a lot of good things going for it, right? I think the initial premise, I think you guys would agree too. I really like this idea for the Santa Claus film where Santa Claus falls off a roof and someone has to become the new Santa Claus. It's a little dark, it's a little mean in some ways, but at the same time, it's a fun idea, and I think who else but if you're looking at 90s dad Tim Allen was the only man I think that could pull this role off. And I know, Adam, we talked about him when we did your holiday specials the past year. Home Improvement was a big show, and Tim Allen just proves his star power in this show, having hits like, you know, Home Improvement obviously being the number one, Toy Story also, I think, relatively around the same time, if not. What do you think, Adam? What do you think Tim Allen contributed? What do you think made this special for him, his contribution alone?
I think it's just how he delivers his like comedic timings.
Right.
I think that there's a way like that he has it to where it's like, I guess it still comes off funny even though it's not supposed to be, or at least his character portrays it as it's not supposed to be. And there's just a way that he delivers it that just makes it so much more entertaining.
Right. I think you can make the argument it's like the corny dad humor, right? It's very dry, but it is a little funny. You still find yourself snickering even if it wasn't blatantly like belly laugh funny. One of my favorite scenes, I think it's early on when he's cooking the turkey. And he's it like catches on fire. He's like, "Oh, this is the number one reason you should always have a fire extinguisher sitting in your kitchen or whatever like that." Like silly things like that. And it even has some good sight gags too. Like after that, they go to the Denny's, and like you see all the sad dads in the film. Like they took their kids to Denny's because they probably messed up. The one kid, like the guy burned his hand because he was cooking a turkey too. It's gags like that. And nothing in this movie, and I want to see what you think, John, nothing in this movie really feels all out super adult as far as humor. This is what I like to talk about as family humor, right? Nothing's too dark, nothing's too light. It hits it right in the middle, so everyone of all ages, I think, can enjoy this, which, you know, we'll talk about that later as far as balancing with the humor. But what do you think, John? Do you think the film nails it in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's one of those films that they actually did a really good job where everybody can enjoy it with the humor, and it's not too raunchy, not too crude, but it's also funny in ways that like you wouldn't get out of some other Disney movies
Yeah.
or even Christmas movies in general.
Yeah, I mean, heartwarming is a word I definitely would describe that. I know that sounds corny in the zeitgeist of movies that we have now, but it is heartwarming. And I think a lot of that has to do with the type of family that we're introduced to in this movie. A lot of holiday movies, we get the cliche like the man loves a woman, they're going to get back together, bring their family together for Christmas. That doesn't happen in this movie. And if you really think about it, I feel like that's entirely unique on its own. It's a divorced husband, from his wife. His wife's remarried, moved on. And it's not about him falling back in love with her and getting back together. It's about him finding something closer to his son and finding like a new existence for him. How unique do you think that is, Adam? Because I can't think of something remotely similar to that that's come out more recently.
Yeah, no, I think that trope alone is what makes this first entry stand out so much more than the rest of the series, because I feel like the rest of the series kind of falls into those like
Yeah.
more modern day movies, where they kind of hit those similar beats to whatever kind of other films are out. But this one stands out completely different than every other entry.
Right. I think it's the realism. I think it's just a very relatable family situation. For better or worse, for most people, I think there is some kind of relatability. I think that really works. What do you think, John? Are you on the same page with that? How do you feel?
No, yeah, definitely. And I think it's interesting the way that they do this movie too, where it's almost like they show you how he becomes Santa Claus, but then throughout like most of the movie, it's him almost trying to convince himself and everybody else that he's Santa Claus, and his son understanding like this is what happened, and everybody else is just like, no, it can't be, definitely wrong. And it's just like one of those like weird things that goes around, and as he gets closer to becoming like the fatter Santa Claus and everything, people just start looking at him like, maybe he really is.
It's true, right? And I think that's even more interesting to me is the way they try to show like it's like exploring the lore of Santa, right? They try to find an explanation for things that happen. Like as soon as you put on the coat, you start slowly transforming into Santa. Like he's perfectly healthy all around, but he has to become fat and grow a beard. I think one of my things I really liked was the chimneys, where he goes down the chimney, because as a kid you always wonder like Santa can't go down a chimney. What if I don't have one? He just creates one, and it's magic. I think there's a line too where like I think Charlie is asking him about like why does Santa do this? How can Santa do that? And then Tim Allen's just like, it's just magic. All right, it's just magic. And they don't go to explain everything in this movie. There's no like as far as like delivering the presents, they don't really go into, and things like that, but they touch enough of like the most common Santa tropes to where it's just a fun explanation, right? So for kids, I think that's something that they're looking for. What do you think of that, Adam? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very fun because I looked up some reviews on this,
Right.
out of curiosity, I went to
Yeah,
Rotten
it's worth
Tomatoes
looking
to
at.
see,
Yeah.
because I was just curious what other people thought. But at the end of the day, this is just a family movie, and it's just very, as you said, heartwarming.
Right. And it's tough when we're sitting up here with our noses turned up to it, like movie critics, like, well, the Santa Claus is this kind of movie. It's at the end, and this is going to go for all of them. They're all family movies at the end of the
Right.
day, and don't take our reviews super seriously. Like it's always worth checking out, regardless. But the Santa Claus, I think you could do a lot worse. What do you think, John? Do you think I've seen a lot of mixed reviews about this movie. Actually, I wonder if that has to do more with some of the Tim Allen shenanigans that have happened, or it's hard to tell. What do you think, John, as far as this movie?
Yeah, I think like as with every movie, everybody's gonna have their own little things that bug them here and there, but sometimes people take one part of a movie and that's their biggest critique, and that ruins the whole experience for them. I feel like this movie doesn't have that huge problem with it. I feel like it's just one of those movies that they made to enjoy, and I
Yeah.
think it did its job.
No, I agree. And one of the things I always want to say is like sometimes when you watch a movie, like the characters aren't fully developed, and I think there is a case for that here. We get very surface level characters, but at the end of the day, this is Tim Allen's movie. Besides him and Charlie, it doesn't really matter about the other characters so much, but we do get some other fun characters. I think Neil is probably like one of the most standout characters in the movie, played by Judge Reinhold. For anyone who knows from Beverly Hills Cop fame, he plays the psychiatrist stepfather. He just plays it so like sweet and just like matter of fact. I
Well,
really liked his character.
Yeah, he's like sweet and a jerk all at the same time. Like he's kind of like gives those like subtle things like he's not real, but maybe.
But maybe he's a good guy. How about you, Adam? Were there any other characters that you thought were kind of standoutish? As we know, it's mostly the Tim Allen show. But was there any other characters you think that did a decent
Oh,
job?
absolutely, Bernard. Absolutely,
Well,
Bernard.
Bernard. I'm glad you bring up Bernard. Bernard is definitely one of the most standout characters. Who, for some reason, I thought he had more to do in the film from when I remember watching it, but he really doesn't show up that often. But when he does, I remember his character as far as he brings in that Santa plot, conveys like the rules and everything like that. But he's a fun guy too. I kind of wish we had more of him. Right?
I think it's because he becomes more established in maybe the sequels.
Right.
That's my guess, but I
Yeah.
do like his character. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I think he's really fun too. Again, he's a standout character, and he sticks with you kind of after watching this movie, and I do appreciate that. Let's talk about a few things that I don't know if they necessarily worked or didn't work. Actually, no. Before we do that, hold on. The last thing I just want to talk about, and I don't know if you guys noticed this. I didn't find this out until relatively recently. In the movie, there's a ton of hidden elves throughout this movie. Did you guys notice that at all?
Like you
I
mean, like,
remember that from a long time ago.
I never knew that until relatively recently. And I've seen this movie hundreds of times probably from being a kid even till now, unashamedly. I never noticed that. Like in the beginning, there's like the girl at the window and she has elf ears.
That's right.
The classroom, there's a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about hidden Mickeys. Disney likes their hidden things. We got hidden elves. I think that's really cool. I think that's kind of fun if you're sitting with your kid and you can just poke it out like, oh, look, there's an elf. There's an elf. And it's funny because the way they film it, it's like right in your face. But you might not notice it if you're not paying attention. Like I never really noticed it, to be honest.
Right.
What do you
I
think,
guess
John?
it's unless it's
Oh, yeah, go
pointed
ahead.
out to you.
Right. What do you think, John?
see, that's one of the things I did actually notice, but
Oh.
it wasn't like
Smart
a
guy.
huge thing. It wasn't like a huge thing for me either, because I just thought it was like I thought everybody saw it, but
I mean, I guess so. If you saw it before everybody else, I guess so. I'm not ashamed to say I didn't see it at all until relatively recently, within the past couple of years. I noticed that. I
I'm
think that's
also
really cool.
surprised too how short these movies actually were too. Every time I've ever watched these movies, I never really owned it per se.
Right.
So I saw it like on TV, so everything seems so much longer.
Right.
I didn't know that these were
That's
only
true.
like an hour and a half either. I
Yeah.
thought that was very surprising for me.
Yeah, brisk pacing. I'm glad you brought that up. That is definitely a positive because I feel like it doesn't outstay its welcome at all at any point. Like every scene in this movie does matter and contributes to the plot. I never felt like we're just kind of going in circles at any point. Brisk holiday films are always the best kind of films. A lot of movies need to take note of that. Let's go into a few negative things. I know the Grinch. Here I am starting already. There's just a few little things I want to talk about. I don't like the reindeer, and you're gonna tell me this is gonna be a thing going on, and I'm just gonna start it now. I think the reindeer are stupid in this movie. I don't think they aged well. They look terrible. Go ahead, Adam. What do you have to say? He's the first one cracking up about it. They
I
annoy
just
me
think
to
it's
no
really
end.
funny. The reindeer, they didn't age well.
They didn't at all. What do you want me to say? These big puppets, face reindeer.
Santa ages well, but the reindeer not
No,
so
not at
well.
all. I'm not gonna hide it from you. What do you think? They're fine. You're gonna say they're fine. He's gonna say it.
I don't know. They're all right. I don't know. They're just background characters for me. They're not as prevalent, I guess.
Yeah, and they also come with the worst caveat that I hate in these kind of movies. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with a kids movie, it's gonna be a thing. Got the fart jokes. Not as much to come. There's some stuff coming that we'll talk about. But this is the start, right? This is the primordial start of the fart joke in the Santa Claus series with the reindeer. And I don't know. I don't care for it. I just thought they were kind of stupid. Just give me normal reindeer. Like they didn't contribute anything. I know the kids probably liked it, and that's who it's for, right? It's not for me.
Okay.
It's definitely not for me. What do you think, John? Are you a fan of the reindeer over there?
The reindeer didn't really bother me. I mean, never seen a
Just me,
reindeer in
just
real
Kevin.
life anyway, so
Wow, never seen a
I don't know
reindeer in
what
real
this is.
life. All right, there we go.
I don't know what they're supposed to look like. So like,
Who's to
I don't know
say?
how they age either. So
They didn't age well. That's all I have to tell you. Speaking of not aging well, the 90s elf brigade thing towards the end of the movie when Santa is stuck in he gets arrested towards the end of the movie, and we have like the '90s kid elves with the jetpacks flying around. Yeah, that didn't age well, guys. Sorry. The something I guess about jetpacks and magic in the '90s, and that was just the thing.
The elves with attitude.
Oh my god! You know how hard I cringed? I felt like my soul like leave my body a little bit when he said that. Like, oh no, were we like that in the '90s? Was that what that was? Oh, that's terrible.
The poor cop sitting the trophy of the fat cop who eats eating the donuts.
Yeah, that was kind of fun though, because if you look on the board behind the one cop when he's given like the meeting of where to find him, they have like all the cops like their meeting place is like a donut shop, and he like has it circled like the donut shop parking lot. I'm like that's kind of funny. But you know, the Santa Claus, for better or worse, that's the only negatives, and they're just nitpicks. That's just me being me. Of course, I have to bring a little bit of negativity to the holiday season. But overall, Santa Claus is a fantastic movie. But I think with all that being said, I think we're ready to give our final scores. I'm gonna give the Santa Claus an A.
So let's make this simple. I say name, you say Scott Calvin. Name.
Kris Kringle.
Name.
Santa Claus.
Name.
Père Noël. Babo Natale. Père Nicole.
Papa Gijo.
It's a fantastic film. What can I say? It's aged incredibly well, minus the reindeer. I think the film is unique in a lot of ways. It holds up a lot. We see a unique family situation. We see Tim Allen bring in the jokes. Nothing's overly raunchy for the family. I think everyone can enjoy it. Everyone can find something in this movie. It's not perfect. No movie is, but I think this is something I'm going to put on repeat, come time and time again for the Christmas holiday. John, where do you stand with this film?
Yeah, I give this movie a solid A.
Santa?
Scott Calvin.
How come your clothes are so baggy?
Because Santa is watching his saturated fats.
How come you don't have a beard?
Because I shaved. Do you want this doll or not? Go back to sleep.
I feel like it's one of those movies that I seem to watch every single Christmas, and every time I watch it, it's still the same as it was the first time I watched it. It's still good. Doesn't really change much, and it's got a decent story to it.
Yeah, no, I can't agree more. Adam, where do you stand with this film?
I give it an A as well.
You have 11 months to get your affairs in order, and you're due back here Thanksgiving.
I'm not coming back here on
I'll
Thanksgiving.
ship the list to your house.
What list?
Come on, the list. He's making a list.
Checking it twice.
It's a holiday staple. You can't pass up the original Santa Claus.
No, I think so. And if, again, this only cements Tim Allen as America's dad. And, again, for better or worse, I think he's a great actor. I always enjoy his films. Tim Allen's one of those ones he can come out and just give a solid performance. And this is proof of that he was a reliable actor at the time. And I think he still is to some extent. But thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode of the Real Christmas series. Going on, we're going to be talking about more of the Santa Claus and a couple other specials along the way. But we'll catch you guys next time.
See you.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.